Hey students, my name is Tim and I get the blessing and privilege of serving as the high school pastor at 410 location. And when I was in high school, I was pretty certain my parents didn't have any idea what they were talking about. Sure, I was pretty good about listening to them on just like facts and information and that kind of thing, but when it came to wisdom of living, pretty certain they didn't know what they were talking about. They didn't know my experience. The older I've gotten, the smarter I've noticed that they were all along. The other thing I noticed is they knew what they were doing too. And so for me to dig in and listen to them and take their advice would have been hugely helpful for some of the dumb things that I did back in high school. Because what I've noticed is the older I've gotten, the more aware I am of how they knew what they were doing, not just how smart they were all along. Your parents love you and they want the best for you. And sometimes they have a goofy way of showing it, sometimes not. But your parents, despite what you think, they know more than you, and they want the best for you. And I hear pretty regularly that from students that sound something like, my parents are being unreasonable. How can I change their mind? What can I say? What can I do to get them to let me do what I want to do? Well, for the most of the time, I've noticed that something that's considered unreasonable has come from one particular area. Your parents are cool. You're good with your parents for the most part, but there's one area with your parents you just don't agree with them. So how do we handle that one area? Well, first of all, ask yourself, why are they being like this? What is it something that is driving them to do this? Remember that your parents love you and they want the best for you. And maybe they do have a goofy way of showing it, but they want you to be safe and they want you to be living and doing right. And I think this may be somewhere deep down the reason that you think they're being unreasonable, because they've set some standards to point you in that direction. And so maybe you need to rethink it. Why are they like this? What's driving that? What do they want out of this? What's the result they're hoping for in terms of keeping me safe and doing the right thing? If that's the case and you think about it, you might discover that, maybe they're not being that all that unreasonable. Also consider that maybe what you're dealing with is the consequences of something you've done. Maybe they don't trust you because you've been untrustworthy in a particular area. Or maybe you've been untrustworthy just in general. And so this is you dealing with the consequences of you being untrustworthy to your parents. Maybe you're the one that's been unreasonable. So then you need to figure out how to earn that trust back. And it's not just in that one area either. That's in every single area of your relationship with you and your parents. Do you do your chores without being asked? Are you a model citizen for what your parents expect of you? Is there something that you can do to make the situation better? And what I find when I'm talking to students is there's almost always something they can do to make things better, or several things, like a lot of things. And if that's the case in your world, then don't focus on the one thing where you feel like your parents are being unreasonable. Focus on the things that you can control. Go chase after the things that you need to get done. What is it that you need to do, and get to work? Now, if you are the model kid at home, and that just doesn't apply here, but they're still being unreasonable, have you tried talking about it? When you've looked at the situation, you say, okay, I can't see why they're drawing the lines where they are. And you've looked at your life and said, no, I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing before the authority in my life. Have you tried talking to them? And I mean sitting down with them and talking. Make your case. Be reasonable. Think through it. I encourage you to control your volume, control your tone. Be respectful. If they listen and change their minds, awesome. Thank them over and over and over again. But if they don't listen or they don't change their minds, maybe they'll open your eyes to why the rules are the way they are, and then you'll know. And even if none of that happens, and they don't change their mind, and they don't help you understand better why the rules are the way they are, then respect their decision. Accept their decision. Do it without yelling. Do it without fighting. Just say, I respect your decision, and leave it at that. And I'll tell you this, that will go a long way the next time you have this conversation. They'll know that you're being reasonable. They'll know you're willing to talk it out. And they'll be open to listen to you as well. Respect your parents because God put them in charge of you and He knows what He's doing. How you respond to your parents is the way you respond to God's authority. So be respectful and honor your parents. Make it look like they've done a good job of raising you, even if you have a few questions about that. Chances are they did the best they could. So consider yourself, think through these things, and hopefully this is helpful for you as when it comes to dealing with struggles with your parents and how to work through these difficulties. My name is Tim. Thanks for listening. Take care.